Cincinnati, Ohio, weighing 225 pounds, Dean Ambrose!
The lunatic fringe! Welcome to the Ambrose Asylum! He doesn't have a game plan. Dean Ambrose just comes out here and does stuff.
He don't care, man. He just don't care.
Not tonight! Not on this night!
Oh, God. That reeks. That is a horrible stench. What is that?
And the next one's rabies.
Right.
Can we not just write one good storyline? Does everything have to be fucking stupid?
Jon Moxley is undeniably having one of the most successful post-WWE careers in wrestling today. And while his time in the land of the giants was nothing to scoff at either, being a Grand Slam champion and all, the then Dean Ambrose's entire heel run in 2018 was so bad, it ultimately fueled his decision to leave the company altogether. So what exactly happened? How can the badass lunatic fringe be turned into nothing more than a germaphobe who dresses like a Wish version of Bane? In order for us to see just how cringe this run really was, let's look back at the events leading up to his heel turn. On the October 22nd, 2018 episode of Raw, Roman Reigns shocked the entire WWE universe when he announced that his leukemia had returned and that he would be relinquishing his Universal title in order to get treatment for the disease. It was a truly emotional segment, with fans and even haters showing their love and support for the big dog, ending in a tear-jerker when the rest of his Shield brethren came out and they hugged it out on stage. Later that night, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins faced Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre for the Raw Tag Team Championship, with the duo vowing to win the belts in honor of Reigns. They would be successful in doing so, and all seems to be well and good. But then, in one of the most gut-wrenching heel turns in recent history, Dean delivered the dirty deeds to Seth out of nowhere as the whole building was stunned into silence. Not satisfied with this, he continued to beat his partner senseless, planting him with another dirty deeds on the exposed concrete floor. This unexpected betrayal left everyone asking one important question: why? And so, wanting to get the answers himself, Rollins would call Ambrose out the following week on Raw, only for him to come out through the crowd, say absolutely nothing, and then just leave. A week later, Rollins was forced to defend their newly won tag team titles alone against AOP, which went about as well as you'd expect. The Architect fought valiantly, but in the end, the numbers game was too much, and he would end up getting destroyed by the big men. After the match, Ambrose came out, finally teasing an explanation, but instead, Seth found himself on the receiving end of another dirty deeds. And for weeks on end, he would continue to refuse to give everyone a proper explanation for his heel turn, all while doing and saying some truly despicable things.
For Roman's part, for what Roman did in the Shield, he has to answer to the man upstairs.
It was also during this time that Ambrose developed a really weird layer to his new heel gimmick, and that's becoming a germaphobe. At first, it seemed like this was just a way to give Dean more cheap heat, with him telling fans that they stink. But as with all terrible storylines created by Vince, things got even more ridiculous as it went on. On the November 26th edition of Raw, Dean Ambrose would appear in the Titantron, where he was shown to be taking a series of inoculations inside a clinic. Dean was so serious about it, in fact, that he even took a shot right in the asshole on live TV. Moxley would later reference how much he hated this promo, and rightfully so, with it cementing his decision to leave WWE for good. As if that segment wasn't embarrassing enough, Ambrose made his return the week after, wearing an over-the-top gas mask while being surrounded by his own SWAT team of germaphobes. He would then cut a promo, only to be interrupted by Rollins, leading to a brawl with the lunatic fringe standing tall once again. This rather confusing and lackluster rivalry would all come to a head at the TLC 2018 pay-per-view when Ambrose defeated Rollins for the Intercontinental title in an equally underwhelming regular match that barely got any reaction from the crowd. Then, the following night on Raw, Dean was out in the ring gloating about his title win as he tried to provoke Rollins to come after him. Seth didn't take the bait, however, and so he decided to hold an open challenge for the Intercontinental Championship, which was answered by none other than Tyler Breeze. And after soundly defeating Prince Pretty in a good match, Seth's music would hit, causing the champ to panic and order his goons to block the ramp. This turned out to be a well-laid trap, however, as the architect, disguised as one of the goons, took Ambrose by surprise, finally getting the upper hand for the first time in their feud. On the first Raw of 2019, the former Shield brethren would have a date with Destiny yet again as they battled for the Intercontinental Championship in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Unlike their bout at TLC, however, this one actually delivered on the intensity and brutality that fans have been expecting for this rivalry. While Rollins fought valiantly and even looked to have Ambrose beat at one point, in the end, the Lunatic Fringe would steal a victory after Bobby Lashley interfered and cost Rollins the match. The celebration would be short-lived, however, as just a week later, Dean would lose his title to Lashley in a triple threat match that also featured his rival, and things would only go downhill from here rather quickly for the Lunatic Fringe. After a forgettable performance at the Royal Rumble, he would once again confront the winner of the Rumble himself, Seth Rollins, prompting Triple H to make a match between the two, which Ambrose lost. And just to add insult to injury, Nia Jax would literally knock him off the ring during an altercation after his match. On the very next day, WWE.com dropped a bombshell by confirming the rumors of his impending departure, stating that Dean Ambrose will not be renewing his contract once it expires in April that year. This would spell the end for his heel gimmick as he slowly started turning back into his quirky old self, which was made all the more apparent during the A Moment of Bliss segment when he made fun of EC3 and buried the NXT Call-Up's main roster career before it even got started.
What does EC3 mean? Where are EC1 and 2?
This is such good shit.
The two would have a match later that night, with EC3 actually picking up a roll-up victory, though Ambrose would get his win back just a week later. In another unexpected turn of events, the Lunatic Fringe confronted Rollins after a heated promo with Heyman, not to antagonize him however, but to show support for his title match with Brock Lesnar at Mania, telling Rollins to slay the beast. Then, on the February 25th episode of Raw, Dean Ambrose challenged Drew McIntyre in a no disqualification match, which he lost thanks to an interference by Elias. He would later find himself in a 4-on-1 beatdown situation after the match, only for Seth Rollins and a returning Roman Reigns to back him up, taking out the assailants and saving Ambrose. On the following episode of Raw, Roman expressed his intentions to reunite the Shield one last time. Seth would agree to this, but before Dean could give his answer, Elias assaulted him with a guitar once again, resulting in a match later that night. He would end up losing said match, and after which, he was confronted by Reigns and Rollins, who tried to convince him to join them once again. Tired of the Shield drama however, Lashley, McIntyre, and Corbin interrupted the segment, attacking the two men in the ring. This forced Ambrose to finally make his decision, standing with his brothers as they took out their adversaries and stood together united to end the show. And with that, the Shield is back together once again. An awesome moment, no doubt, if not for the fact that it rendered Dean's entire heel run for the past 4 months utterly pointless. At the Fastlane pay-per-view, the Shield would go on to defeat the same trio of Lashley, McIntyre, and Corbin in their final match together as a team. After this, Dean Ambrose would spend his remaining weeks in WWE, putting over McIntyre in singles action several times, with his last scheduled appearance being on the April 8th episode of Raw. He was scheduled to face Lashley in his final match, though things never got underway as a brawl would break down after Bobby made some comments about Dean's wife, ending with the Lunatic Fringe being driven to the announce table by the Almighty One. After Raw went off air, Rollins and Reigns would call Ambrose out in order to properly send him off in another very emotional moment. And that was pretty much all she wrote. In the end, Dean's heel run might not have gone the way many, including himself, wanted, but at least he got a proper send-off on his way out, something not many former WWE superstars could say. So, how bad was Dean Ambrose's 2018 heel gimmick actually? If I was to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. Let me explain why. I honestly would have given this one a lower rating if not for the perfectly executed heel turn and him winning the IC title during this time. And it's a shame because a lot of people, Ambrose included, really had high hopes for this heel run. Unfortunately, it was clear from the very beginning that WWE had zero long-term plans for the character after the turn because, well, they couldn't even write a good explanation as for why he did it. It made Dean and even Seth look dumb because they ended up losing the tag titles and fighting for no good reason. And then, the moment Roman returned, they kinda just brushed it off like nothing ever happened. And judging from Moxley's later interviews, I could see a world where they were able to convince him to stay had they just taken the time to write good material for his heel character. But alas, that didn't happen, and you know what? It was probably for the best, because he's been killing it as Jon Moxley ever since. Come to think of it though, this gimmick was pretty ahead of its time, considering what happened just a year later. But what did you think of Dean Ambrose's heel gimmick? Let me know in the comments below. And if you wanna see more How Bad videos, check out the next one in your screen. See you there.